coming on the show. I know it's not the end, but it's been great having you on, since talking to yourself gets a little nutty after a while.
Well, I do that all the time, even when I'm not on the air. I know people, you're not crazy. This is what I heard. Because, the old saying is that, crazy people talk to themselves. Now, I was told this by a professor back in my college days. He said, no, talking to yourself is a sign of intelligence. A sign of craziness is if you answer yourself. So in other words, if you argue with yourself out loud, I guess, then yeah, you're crazy.
Not only do I argue with myself, sometimes I get mad at the other voice in my head and I stop listening to it. It's kind of.
Aren't we all a little crazy anyway? You have to be sometimes in order to survive.
Exactly. I mean, the things that I did, especially when I was back in EMS, people just thought I was nuts, and it was. My partner finally picked up on it. He did the same thing. It was just a coping mechanism to deal with what we saw and did. We did some of the stupidest, said the craziest things, and it was just more coping with the stresses of the business. But
yeah. So when you have to deal with, I'm going to say, because cops have to deal with the worst of humanity has to offer on a daily basis. But people in any type of position like that has to deal with the worst part of what it is to be a human, whether it be, crime or illness or, disaster or what have you. It can take a toll on a person. I don't know how most people can actually do those types of positions for an entire career, 20, 30, 40 years sometimes. What a solid mental state that they have to be in order to survive that long. It's just incredible.
I'll tell you what, on the EMS side, the average for EMT is 3 years nationally. You either go up the scale or you get out of the career. Like I said, I did about 25 years. My partner did about 15 years total. The only reason I got out of it was because of the injuries to my back. Otherwise, if I could, I'd get back on the rig. There's something about it, the fun, the freedom that you sort of have. You normally don't have a boss over your back when you're working EMS. It's dealing with the other stuff. Well, during my youth, yeah, that was just a lot of nights at the bars. A lot of nights.
Yeah, that's maybe that's why so many retired cops either own bars. I've always wondered that.
Down where I live right now, yeah, it's a totally different atmosphere, and the cops try to act above all that in the EMS. Where I'm from in Jersey, where we did our EMS, we literally had control of one whole bar, and when that one sold out, one of the paramedics, I think it was, or firefighters, either way, he went and bought a bar, and it was an EMS fire police bar, and that's all you saw in there. And it was funny a couple times because it was down in Trenton. So you would see a couple gangbangers coming in. They would walk in thinking they were walking into a local, bar. And all of a sudden, everybody would stop and just turn around, and it was like, oh, you don't want to be in here. Yeah, that's not a good thing.
No, that would not be. Well, yeah, some criminals are rather stupid, so.
Yeah. Oh, they normally just looked, and they were able to tell, and they looked at the apparel on the wall, and they just they would sometimes come in for like one drink and then right out the door. But yeah, that didn't last that long. I got a question for you, out of curiosity. You're doing the speaking engagements and stuff. How did you break into that?
Actually, it is because I have an agent, and she came to me one day after finding out that that I had a talk show. You've spoken to her. Her name is Laura.
Mm-hmm.
And she listened to my talk show, and she came to me and said, good grief, you need to be able to do this, this, and this. And I was like, okay, thinking that not much would come of it. I'd let her go and do her thing, and then she would say, come back in a couple of months later and say that, well, I guess I was wrong, nobody wants to hear you, listen to you, what have you. Instead, it was just the opposite. It's been a whirlwind ever since. I mean, it's just been one one thing after another and the more that she's out there working on my behalf, and the more people hear me, the more people are contacting her now to try to somehow get me, which is all well and good. And I'm just humbled by it, to tell you the truth, because here I am. I've been broadcasting since 2009, and I started out doing it as a hobby, and I didn't think people were really going. I started on Blog Talk Radio, and I didn't think people were going to take me all that seriously, or it was going to grow any further past BTR. One of my biggest listening shows over at BTR, I think I had 30 people listening live at one time, and for BTR, that's actually a good number. But I was kind of thrilled by that, and didn't think it would ever really get too much bigger or better. But she definitely convinced me otherwise.
Okay.
And I'm just myself. So when people talk to me on, in person or something, they always, reflect about listening to the show, and they always say, well, geez, you sound the same on the show as you do in person. And I say, well, it's because on the show I'm not playing a character. I'm not like some of these other guys out there. I'm me.
Exactly, and that's one of the things I do. I'm just being me. I'm just trying to, from where I started doing this was because I didn't feel I was having a voice, so I started doing a podcast, and SHR picked me up, and hey, I haven't told my listeners yet. Everybody knows that simulcasted between SHR and Pundit Press, but now also on the day after all my shows, Rebooting Liberty contacted me yesterday, and they're going to be carrying my show on a rebroadcast. And I'm just sitting there yesterday like a little kid. I'm like, can't believe that someone else is hearing it and thinking, ooh, I want to put it on my radio show. And the other thing that's making me laugh, I'm wondering if half these people that I'm doing the conservative message, but if they actually saw me, they probably would not think I was conservative. Here I am, 6 foot, 280 pounds, bald, tattoos. I'm not the typical idea of a conservative.
Well, actually, you know what? That's a misnomer.
Well, I should say, I think there is more and more people that are coming out that they had the conservative, but they were always pushed to the background, and I think it's more coming to the foreground nowadays. Yes.
The old, like I said, the good old boy, old white man network. That's what everybody sees. In the straight-laced tie and the expensive $2,000 suit and the perfectly gray or graying hair. That is what the left has always tried to portray as being a conservative. But no, conservatives come from all walks of life, and they're all from all ethnic backgrounds. It's not just. Republicans are just not just old white men, and which is why they always have a fit when you see a woman espousing conservative beliefs. I mean, look what they did to Sarah Palin, and look what they're trying to do to Carly Fiorina. They're beside themselves because it smacks against what they have tried to always portray as a conservative. And when you have a Latino or a black guy who's a constitutional conservative. Oh, well, the liberals will just lose their minds on that one. They have no idea how to handle that. So they end up just calling you a whole bunch of names.
Well, one of the things I find funny, and I got called a racist about this, and it's kind of funny I got called a racist because someone else's Facebook, they were talking during the Democrat debate, and it was a black gentleman, and he brought up about how it looked like the old white club was up there talking. So someone jumped on him about it. And I jumped in. I'm like, I'm white. Okay. They're old white people. Well, you're racist. Okay, I'm a racist because I'm pointing out because the Democrat Party, who claimed, 2008, 2012, the Democrat or the Republican Party was nothing but old white people. That's all they put up on stage. And what do the Democrats have now? A bunch of old white people.
What I have found out over the years is that Democrats always accuse Republicans or others of being exactly who they are. And I pointed out the hypocrisy numerous times about this year. When people say, the Republicans are racist. Really? Let's see, we have 2 Latinos, a black guy, a woman,
the Republicans are actually the first to have a minority in the parties.
Yes. Look, we even, and Christie even laughs about this, we even have a fat guy running, so he's going to get the obesity vote. Who do the liberals have? Seriously.
Yeah.
We've even got an Indian guy, Indian from India heritage.
The slushy type Indians. That one's going to get me in trouble.
But we have to listen to these liberals constantly come up with this mantra that Republicans are racist. But every time you get somebody who is not an old white person, who's a Republican and a conservative, they're called a sellout.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're called an Uncle Tom, or they're called this or that. Democrats are very famous for trying to have it both ways.
Yeah, well,
and now it's very difficult for them to do that. They can't do that anymore.
For, the fundraising. They want to limit everything, and I'm sitting in the background going, they raise more money than anybody. It seems like when they're accusing the Republicans, whether it's racism or fundraising or whatever, you need to take a look behind the curtain, because the Democrats are doing the exact same thing, and they're trying to do it as like to make you look the other way. Hey, look, the Republicans are doing this. And they do it all the time, and they put these bills up of the fundraising. And they know the Republicans are going to shoot it down. They don't want that bill to pass. They don't want a lot of this stuff to pass because it would stop them from doing what they do. But they know the Republicans are going to shoot it down. And then they get to point the finger at the Republicans and say, look, how bad they are.
That is exactly that has been their plan, for years now. And to a certain degree, it has worked for them, but it is working less and less. And, which is a good thing, because, the whole notion that, as I mentioned earlier today, that the Democrats have lost since 2010, and we're talking just a 4-year span. 4 years. Over 3 elections, 4 years. The Democrats have lost over 1,300 seats across the United States. I'm talking local and state and federal level. That is a massive power change.
Yeah, that is.
They have lost over 1,300 seats. They know that they're losing the argument because their argument sucks. So they're going to get, when you have somebody who's desperate, they're going to start throwing out all kinds of stuff. And we can see the desperation from the liberal left now. And they're trying everything within their power to get everything that they possibly can shoved down our throats through legislation, through rules and regulation, and through the court systems before we're actually able to stop them.
Yeah, that's the scary part with what's going on. But I kind of laugh, and then I'm going to have to make this point, and we're going to have to get off the air because it's, end of my time. It seems like the hour whizzes by. They talk about how they want gun control, they want immigration control, they want all this other stuff done, and the Republicans are blocking them. Why didn't they get that done in 2009, 2010 when they could have pushed it right through? And
exactly.
They never have an answer for it.
No, they just want to use it for politics to try to somehow browbeat Republicans and conservatives with it.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, they got Obamacare passed and shoved down our throats, and we didn't want it. They could have gotten anything that they wanted.
They could have got any gun control that they wanted, any immigration bill they wanted, but they chose not to because they get to rail against the Republicans on it. And if they got it passed, they wouldn't have been able to use it. Listen, it's been great having you on the show. Anytime you want to come on, call on in. It was great to have you on here. See, this is where I also have the trouble with the show, is the closing. I always have trouble coming up with what to say at the end. But
you hate leaving, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. But, all right, guys, as everybody knows, this has been the Revear of Common Sense. I'm your host, Jersey Joe, and there we go. See you Monday.